www.gettingpositivekarmanow.com presents the series Healing Thursdays with Nalin K. Narula. Here are wide-ranging discussions in an intimate and informal atmosphere with the Healing Master.
What else is the news? What's happening? Any of you read the blog today?
I saw it in the morning.
You saw in the morning? Yeah, it was later it was later. So the topic was expectations not met, basically. And how I'm noticing that people are actually getting very frustrated because somehow they think there's an entitlement and then there is a... But much of it is very unrealistic. We are thinking that we can achieve something, but we are not actually in a position to go there. And we don't have the qualification, or we don't have the drive, or we don't have the, you can say, the availability of opportunities. And we are neglecting what we should be doing. In that I'm entitled to get that. Why don't I have it? I should have it. And that's making me miserable.
I realized it yesterday only when you written on that key. Firstly, we just knew there's a karma, there's an action. Then I realized it after reading that expectation, put it on. There's a little finer layers of karmas and the understanding of it.
Right.
There's more to it than just a word.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about people whoever's not happy, it's always that the expectations are not being met.
Yes, that is the point.
Because I was trying to analyze how one mental illness, because there were many people who had mental illness in my area of.
Right.
So I was just trying to see what is it that, why were they so unhappy? And then I was thinking that somehow we have to teach our children not to think that anybody owes us anything.
Exactly, that is exactly right. And also that ultimately it becomes that you should be satisfied with gain that comes of its own accord. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that if you are working diligently, if you're working with what you know, what you're doing, it is within your expertise, it is within your own zone of work and the placement that you have, and you have some qualification for it, and you do that work honestly and diligently and with commitment, then you can be a happy person because you are understanding that what's coming to me now is not immediately coming out of what I'm doing just now. There is a whole background, there is a history, there is a whole chain of effect and cause that is happening. This is the effect of the prior cause, which is the effect of some previous cause, and that is my karmic action. So it's a combination of what I do today with what I have done in the past and what is unfolding for me. So there's no point getting upset with it.
So even if you analyze like how people are unhappy in their marriages or any area, if you see what's in the newspaper, this one is killing this one.
Yeah, expectations.
It's just because they are thinking, oh, we are the son-in-law, or we are this, or this was supposed to be done for us and it's not being done.
Exactly. It is the expectations again. Entitlement and expectation.
So on a very deep level, the whole of society has to understand that.
Right. And we need to start with ourselves. Because a lot of our unhappiness is coming out of this only.
And it it also I understood one more thing, that's how I'll interact with the other people, so that it is a better today that I do it, so it does not have any reflection in my future.
Right.
That they will not retaliate or
Right.
say something.
Right.
That it have
Right.
to be very. I'm little more this thing. And I had when I entered, and Rituji said, "You're looking very relaxed." I said, "No, I'm coming from school. I had a full day, but it was not like everything was happening, but."
You were in a center of calm
Yes.
because of the healing. Yes.
Too many things were happening around me, but yes.
Good. Anyone from the internet community has anything to say? They're going to just listen only?
Just check.
There are enough
Okay, Nidhi
people.
wants to talk.
Nidhi
from
wants to say something. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Nidhi, good evening and good morning to you.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good. Aap batlao. What's the news? What's the
So
question?
all is very well. Thank you so much. And I'm
Okay.
so happy to hear this conversation about expectation, because last night only, I had a conversation with Nime
Okay.
and Anvi.
Okay.
And I told them the same thing, that you are not entitled to certain things, and somewhere you're missing a gratitude part for what all you have.
Right.
So this need and craving for more and more is coming from where? So I was asking him to, I think I was telling him what is his reason of unhappiness.
Mm-hmm.
So he came down to things like I'm telling him to study, do certain things. So I was asking him, as a child, as a student, what are you supposed to do? What do you think you are supposed to do? So, so I was telling him, you need to study. You have to help me with the chores.
Right.
So, so there's certain things, but I don't know. I believe I was talking and I was just sharing my thing, but I don't know if he understood, or did I really miss the fact that I couldn't teach him how to be grateful for what he has, and maybe taking away some of the privileges which he's having right now.
Yes. So they have to be, actually they have to come to the conclusion themselves that certain things are privileges and it's not on demand. So if you stop doing the on demand thing and just work on a reasonable balance, that this is what we expect of you. The parents are doing certain work and providing all these benefits, and you are enjoying them, and as part of the family progress, as a progressive, this is what you need to do, because you need to be able to look after yourself in life when parents are also not there at some point. You have to make your own life, and we are supporting you to get that. And if you don't make use of this time now, then it's going to be very difficult, because later on you may not be able to understand or get back to that time zone where you could actually learn these things and get ahead in life. So they're old enough now. He's what, about 12, something like that?
11, sir.
11,
He turned
12,
11.
yeah. So that's mature enough for him to be able to understand a little bit of this. You don't want to be too heavy with him, but basically you have to say that, these things are privileges. You're not like doing us a favor by being here and demanding things, and, we are providing. We are not your order suppliers on demand. So there has to be certain reciprocation of give and take, and this is the way that the children will give and take, by doing things that they are supposed to do at this time of life, because that is what is required. Everyone has to do that in order to progress in life. The reason that you did all that is the same, and which is why you have now reached a certain status in life. They should not think that they will inherit the same status just by being born in your family. I think that is a point that needs perhaps to be made, that because you are having these benefits, it doesn't mean that you are going to inherit these in future. I think that is what you have to convey, because a child cannot model the future very well. They can't think ahead like adults can. Their frame of reference is very, very tiny. It's like maybe a year ahead, they can really model, or 6 months ahead. I don't see them modeling, what is happening, 6 years down the line. If you're 11 or 12, you're not thinking of what's happening when you're 21. It's something unreal, or even 18. But you may have some idea that, 18-year-olds do this, 16-year-olds do this, 21-year-olds do that. And you have to point out that everybody has to go through this process, and you will also be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You will go through those classes, you'll see what the seniors are doing, and eventually they will end up being part of society, contributing part of society. So I think you need to point that out, that you need to be contributors, you cannot be takers. This taking business without contributing is what gives the sense of entitlement. And to some extent, we are responsible ourselves as parents, because we tend to overindulge or compensate for whatever we didn't have when we were their age. So we think that this is good for them to have. And grandparents, of course, are very good at doing that also, giving them more. But that's fine. You need that also aspect, little more comfort time perhaps. But ultimately, it's not that life has to be a big drudgery for the children, but there has to be a contribution. So they have to contribute. So once you tackle them in that way, perhaps it will give them a different perspective. You can look at it at that, because that is something that they might be able to connect with a little better. Because you give them a practical reason and a step that this is how you do it. This is your contribution. You're learning to be a contributor, which is wonderful. Because nobody likes somebody who's only a taker. So you have to change that. So if you are contributing, people will appreciate you because you are doing something for them. It's helpful. This is how you build bonds between people and communicate with people in a meaningful way. So I think if you look at it like that and convey that to them in the best possible way you can, I think that they will understand this aspect. That how are people popular? How are people popular in school is because they do things for people, or they have some talent which entertains people, or they are giving something of value. I mean, you ask them to look at it. Who is the most popular person in your class? Why are they popular? Go through those kind of explorations. So then you'll see.
Sure, sir. I will do it today itself.
Right.
Thank
Correct.
you, sir.
Most
Thank
welcome.
you.
Most welcome. Anyone else is there wants to say anything?
No, but I have people who have mental illness. So they must, in some time in their lifetime, they must have had this kind of problem.
What kind of problem?
That they expected too much, or they were not able to live their life they wanted to live.
Well, there are. I think you can divide them into broadly two sections. One is the people who didn't have, and the other section is people who had too much. The people who had too much is what I'm talking about right now, that the expectations are there. Then there is the people who didn't have, and they have struggled and tried to make a go of it, and perhaps been unsuccessful. And out of that frustration, there is basically a split between reality in their mind. And that's how, people, extreme poverty will do that to you, for example, sometimes. People who are very stressed under emotional circumstances. Somebody who takes a lot of drugs, that split can take place. So it's like a break from reality. And it can happen in any socioeconomic condition. But very often when a person has been so helpless and is so persecuted they feel, or tortured mentally and emotionally, there is a complete break, and they are thinking all kinds of things, that I'm entitled to this and I'm entitled to that. And it's like they have nothing left, and they just want to compensate on the other side by asking for or making claims. So then you have the people who are really mentally deranged and disturbed. And somewhere in between the people who are, let's say, steady and the ones who are completely deranged, you'll find a whole range of people, falling in that in different degrees. There are people who will have personality disorders, who will seek to control by doing for others, but then at the same time be a very massively controlling entity. And that is not good eventually, because that control is through intimidation, through threats of various kind.
Control is... Sometimes one doesn't even realize that person is controlling you. Yes, sometimes they do it, they are very diplomatically.
Yes, of course. People may control you diplomatically. That's true. Okay, so then we will conclude here for today. So basically what I wanted everyone to kind of focus on a little bit is the fact that controlling your sense of unhappiness or dissatisfaction is not a very difficult job if you are willing to commit to what you are doing and be happy or be satisfied with the results that come with your honest effort. It's not that now I'm not getting, I shall work 3 times as much and kill myself and do this and do that. That doesn't usually work out well at all for anybody, and it's not something that is going to enrich your life, basically. So over-endeavoring is to be actually avoided. Just work with commitment, diligence, within your sphere of expertise, what you know, and you'll do okay. Don't suddenly start thinking, I can now become a genius at doing something else. If you've not shown those symptoms earlier, it's unlikely they will suddenly appear. So you do what you do best. Expand in that area and you'll be happy. Okay, so we'll conclude with that. Thank you all for coming today on the internet, and we will now sign off. Thank you. Good night.
You've been listening to Nalan Kena Rula on gettingpositivekarmanow.com.